রেগে আগুন। কি যাতা বক্ত রাজারাম, দেখতে পাচ্ছ না সূর্যালোকিত ঘরবাড়ি, ফুলের বাগান, সবুজ ঝলমলে গাছপালা। মহারাজ আর দেরি করবেন না, লগ্ন পার হয়ে যাচ্ছে যে। ধোপা তো হেভি খাচ্ছে। আরে বলে ধোপার বুদ্ধি। আরে ধোপার বুদ্ধি না, ওর নাপিতের বুদ্ধি।
I mean, I've seen landless agricultural laborer rather sick, old man, just could not resist the temptation of walking with us to the next village, then again to the next place, and moving away and away from his own place, without a single paisa in his pocket. I asked him, why are you doing it? He said, I don't know, I just got high, and I can't leave you. We have seen a bigger woman calling us and then bringing out 5 paisa from the bag and paying it. So all these enthusiasm, there are so many things, it's very difficult to describe. Then the women folk and children, one parikrama, a very poor village where women folk, they try to fish, but there is no proper water there. Only some collected water, so very small fish, just for some extra income. So in the morning they do it. Second time we went there, these women folk started abusing us like anything. What do you mean by coming to our village in the morning? Can we see other play in the morning? It's just as if we are their own people. You see, all these things happened.
I think when he started in the 70s with Bhoma, which I think is the play with which he really came in the third theatre movement, the earlier works, of course, Sagina Mahato or Spartacus, these were more finding his way out and rooting himself into this new form, into this new experiment in a way. But Bhoma became his first major independent work, where he was very deliberately, proclaimedly making an attempt to bridge the gulf between the city and the village. And this gulf, it's not just a gulf of incomprehension, but more than the gulf of incomprehension, which was of course there, it was also a gulf of not knowing and also hiding things. It was a gulf of darkness. It was a gulf of oblivion, which he wanted to bridge. And very consciously he wanted to illuminate that gulf, where the people in the cities should realize how they were willy-nilly exploiting the people in the village. And this was an experience which I think was very important at that point, and this was an experience which had been raised by the Naxalite movement. It couldn't achieve all that it wanted to do and failed at various levels, but this awareness has meant so vitally in the context of this part of the country at least. Just as Mahashweta Devi is a product of this consciousness, this awareness of the gulf, so is Badal Babu's work in this phase. So I don't find anything wrong in this if a person with an urban consciousness tries to use the urban consciousness and tries to illuminate the urban consciousness further, bring in these experiences into the urban consciousness. Because decisions, controls, these are created in the cities. And you can't leave it entirely to just arousing the masses, and you can't really do it. One has to go there, and this theatre can't accomplish by itself. This must have a base, a movement, a politics in the roots, in the villages where that can happen. So Badal Babu's job is not to do that. That's somebody else's job. But as part of the larger politics, I think he is playing his role excellently, and of course he does that. He's rooted in the urban consciousness. It is his job to arouse, to awaken, to conscientize the urban consciousness. And that is what he's doing, and his theatre is urban theatre, essentially urban theatre. At the same time, there is just another aspect of his entire movement, another aspect of his theatre, where he goes down to the villages, where he meets them, where he knows them, carrying his theatre with them, but not so much to give this to them, but to take things for them and to establish a dialogue. That is all that he is doing. He's not doing a theatre for them. And when he has opportunities, which opportunities have not been that many, to go into the interiors, to go into the villages and work at the workshop level with them, then try to give them means and modes through which they can voice themselves, they can express themselves, which has to be their theatre. Badal Babu can't do a theatre for them. That I would find a phony act.
It sounds very harsh, especially for someone whom I had great regard once. I thought he was the hope of our theatre. I think he is sadly marginalized in this theatre at the moment. Though he is getting, mind you, he is getting the recognition he should have gone then. Now he is getting them. But this Kalidas Samman should have come his way in 70s when he did Spartacus. Now it is coming at a time when he has virtually no relationship with the theatre that is we see now in Calcutta. He may think that by being different, he is trying to set a contrast which will expose the limitations of the theatre. Perhaps see that. But I don't see it that way. I personally get the idea that he didn't know enough of the proscenium, which is why he escaped from it.
Now, proscenium theatre is full of barriers. Barrier of distance, everybody sitting on one side means the last row is quite far away. Same number of people, if they sat on all four sides or even three sides, the last row will come much nearer to the stage. Then barrier of levels, two different levels or more than two levels, performers and spectators. But the greatest difference according to me is the greatest barrier, is the barrier between light and darkness. The action is in light and the audience is hiding in the dark, which means that one party of human beings in the event of theatre, the performers, are denying the presence of the other party, namely the audience. Well, that is certainly not the way to utilize the strength of theatre, the direct communication between performers and spectators, if the performers even do not recognize the presence of the audience. So these are the reasons why we came down from the proscenium stage, sharing the space with the audience in different situations. One situation is in a large room of performing on the floor, same floor space used by performers and spectators, ordinary room light maybe, or out in the open air performance, people sitting on the ground and we performing, same level. That is what I mean by sharing of space.
What he does now can be done in the proscenium without having all that people sitting around the thing. It can be safely done on the stage. The kind of communication he's trying to achieve, the kind of oneness he's trying to achieve by having people, by performing within a circle. If involved theatre was all that physical, then I don't know. Then what do you do a great performance on the stage? I am sitting at the back of a hall, say about 20 yards away from the actor, and yet I feel him talking to me. So why do I have to sit and, why does he have to breathe down my neck? I don't see any point. If he is a good actor, if the play has that message, if the director is good, he will communicate to me across oceans. In other words, there is a dichotomy between form and content, the classic dichotomy which ruins a work of art. He would first choose the form and then put the thing inside. And secondly, I found it was the same. I saw one of his plays, Hattomalat Deshe, after a break of almost 20 years, and I found it was the same thing, looks the same. How has he advanced?
The form and techniques have not been used for 20 years. I have already said that for each play, the content of each play, we have to explore to find out the form most suitable for the play. So it's not a question of inventing a new form out of the blue sky or anything like that. The content of each play dictates the form of that play.
I think one of the problems that happens with Badal Babu's performances now when you have your first look at it, because generally for a very long period, especially in Bengal, Bengali theatre had somehow, I call it was so patriarchal, and it was part of the patriarchy that it seems that the head, the mind, the brain and the head, this is all man's, and it is the head that has ruled the Bengali theatre. So much of Bengali theatre has been just verbal, the way a male actor would modulate his voice and play with his voice, and people would revere the voice and go all under. And I think it was important to attack and critique the voice, the primacy of the voice, the dominance of the voice. I would even call the fascism of the voice. Because once you play with the voice casts a spell. And a disembodied voice, a voice without a body, which seems to have a strange kind of an supreme, superior authority. And this has ruled so strongly in Bengali theatre that it was a rebellious break when Badal Babu decides to drop this mystique or the magic of the voice and go to the body, expose the body even in all its limitations. So then you can relate to the body relates to body, human beings relate to other human beings, not overawed by the presence, the spell, the magic of the voice, the charmed voice. This was a very important break. So the physical element, once again, as I put it, it's Badal Babu was playing and living history in the theatre, and even this break was a part of history and a very revolutionary part of history.
I found his ideas very dangerous. Dangerous not in the sense of seditious or provocative, but in the sense of deluding people. In Hotowala Deshe, he speaks of doing away with the money as the money is the source of all evil. I think that's a very naive attitude. He wants to go back to barter economy. You cannot do that. Money is here with us. The fact that some people are making the wrong use of money is not money's fault. You need money to have an exchange. You cannot do away with it. In any case, even if it is bad, it's with us. You cannot do away with the reality.
Our attitude to the whole change of society question. These both of them try to describe, try to create a dream about what the ultimate society should be, from everybody according to his ability to everybody according to his needs. That is what we try to express in two very different forms, in two productions.
কলকাতা তো সোজা কিনা আমাদের হাটুয়া গ্রাম থেকে মহকুমা, তারপর হলো কি সদর, সদর থেকে কবে কলকাতা। তোর আমার মতন সুদের চোরের কল্পনা শুনে ডাকাত সংস্কৃতরের জালিয়া কলকাতার পাড়ালে পাঠায় না, বুঝলে? কিন্তু এই এত বড় শহর কলকাতায় থেকে অনেক বড়। তাছাড়া কলকাতায় তেরাম গাড়ি আছে, এখানে দেখেছিস তেরাম কিছু? তেরাম গাড়ি কি? সে এক রকমের গাড়ি, রেলগাড়ির মতো, কিন্তু ধোঁয়া আগুনের ব্যাপার নেই। তুমি দেখেছ? আমার কৃষ্ণমশাইয়ের গুরুদেব দেখেছি। ও তাই বলো? বলি এটা যদি কলকাতায় হবে তাহলে পুলিশ পাহারাওয়ালা করবে। কলকাতার মোড়ে মোড়ে পুলিশ, জানিস? না বটে, কিন্তু কলকাতা না হলেও এত বড় শহর, একটাও পুলিশ নেই। এখানে বোধহয় সব টিকটিকি সাদা পোশাকে ঘুরছে, এখানে সব উঁচু জাতের চোর, তাই পুলিশও টিকটিকি ছাড়া নেই। এখানে আমাদের সুবিধা হবে না দাদা? দাঁড়া, কাউকে জিজ্ঞেস করে দেখ।
Actually, Kanoria gave us this opportunity of linking our kind of theatre with mass movement. I won't say this was the first opportunity we had. One of our groups there was a small factory which was under lockout for more than a year. Then a third theatre group went and worked with them and prepared a play. And when they went for raising money, Factory Gates, they performed that play they themselves made on their own struggle. Kanoria was another, and there many different theatre groups of ours, Shatabdi, Pathosena, Ayana, all of them have gone and performed, and particularly singing. For all their meetings or their singing, Shatak has done much.
জয় সদাশয় সরকার ইংরেজ বাহাদুরের জয়। God save our noble king, long live our gracious king, God save the king. Get to the British, don't boom! Get to the galleries! তারা রইল কপাট, ভেঙে ফেলে কটরে লোপাট, তারা রইল কপাট, ভেঙে ফেলে কটরে লোপাট, রক্ত জমাট শিকল পূজার পাষাণ বেদি, ধরে রে তরুণ নিশান, বাজা তোর প্রলয় বিশান, ধ্বংস নিশান, উড়ুক প্রাচীর প্রাচীর ভেদি, তারা রইল কপাট, ভেঙে ফেলে কটরে লোপাট, রক্ত জমাট শিকল পূজার পাষাণ বেদি, ওরে রে তরুণ নিশান, বাজা তোর প্রলয় বিশান, ধ্বংস নিশান, উড়ুক প্রাচীর প্রাচীর ভেদি। ওরে ও পাগলা ভোলা, দে রে দে প্রলয় দোলা, ওরে ও পাগলা ভোলা, দে রে দে প্রলয় দোলা, কারণ গোলা জোরসে ধরে গাছ কাটালে, ধর হক হায়দারি হক, কালে দুমদুমি ডাক, ডাক করে ডাক, মৃত্যুকে ডাক, জীবন পালে।
Say in a workers' rally in front of the factory gate, there used to be meetings. There the songs Shatak or Pathosena sang were in great demands. I mean, they really became demanding. We must come. Without Shatak songs, we can't hold a meeting. That kind of demand was there. Then, as the jute mill workers, they all live in surrounding villages, and their women folk were also in the struggle. They have many different kitchens where they supplied food to the workers at least once a day. So we went to these villages and performed the plays that boosted the morale of these people who were outside. As for raising money, absolutely separately from that, several times they just got into the train, went from here to the next station, Bardwan, say 100 kilometers away, singing and collecting money and selling coupons, coming back singing, then again one day to Kharagpur, then once to Shantiniketan. I mean, just like that, they made programs, different groups, singing. And then while we are invited by some other group for performance, going by train, we will also raise money for Kanoria in the train itself. Karzampag, of course, in 1974, there was a definite attempt to kill our theatre in Karzampag, and the police lathi charge was there. One young man was killed, one spectator. But there was also a very huge protest. Since then, we have not faced any direct obstruction to it.
Well, I must say that I am not that concerned with the theoretical arguments about the definition of third theatre or alternative theatre or poor theatre. What is more important to me is that Badal Sarkar has given us a special kind of theatre with a language of his own. Not only his own, it's a very important language, which we very much need these days as an alternative to what is going on in Bengali theatre in particular. In the name of having a separate group theatre, I am brutally frank about it, that the group theatre as it was during the 60s, during the great days of Shambhu Babu, Utpal ibn Ajitesh, it has gone down the drains, practically speaking. So because of that, we need a theatre which will never compromise with commercialism. That is the first thing that I have always got from Badal Sarkar, and I expect to get it always.
অ্যান্টি-অ্যাঞ্জেল মিসাইল কখনো শুনিনি আগে।
রোবেন আইল্যান্ড থেকে পালাতে হচ্ছে না বাঁচাতে, চারিদিকে পাহাড়, সমুদ্র, জল।
কিন্তু সার্জেন্ট কি বললেন আপনি? ওই দেখুন, চেয়ে দেখুন একবার, ওই সমুদ্রে, ওই দেখুন।
সর্বনাশ!
এই ফায়ার!